Hello and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I am going to be talking about CSS display. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. As well, if you find this video useful, share it with someone else. And if you like my video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Also, if you want to support my channel, I am going to leave my PayPal link in the description below. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so to get started with CSS display, I need you to open w3schools.com. You're going to go to the CSS section, and then you're going to scroll all the way down where it says CSS display. As well, let's open the same website we've been working with so far, and I am also going to open the code for that website. What I'm going to do, first of all, is delete all the information that we added in our last chapter, because it was a table, as you can see, it's here. So I'm going to delete that, and I'm also going to delete the style for this table so that you can see clearly the examples for CSS display. So I'm going to hit save here, and I'm also going to hit save in my index file. Now let's hit refresh. And boom, the only thing we are remaining with is the H1 that we added the last time. Okay, so CSS display. This is a property which is going to affect the layout of our CSS style, right? So the display property is the most important CSS property for controlling the layout, and that's totally true. We can do a lot of things here with the display property. And today I'm going to teach you 3 values that the display property has, and one more which is not with display, and it's actually with visibility. But let's go ahead and jump into display first. So the display property, it specifies if or how an element is displayed. So every HTML element has a default display value depending on what type of element it is. The default display value for most elements is block or inline. So see, here is the 2 differences. When a element is block, it means that it captures the entire width of your screen. Let's say as this example in CSS tables, this is a header, it's an H1, right? So the H1 is a block level element because it covers the entire screen. In fact, let's go ahead and do something. Right now I have an H1 here. Let's add some style to my H1. I am going to add a border to my H1, and I am going to say that it's going to be 1 pixel, and it's going to be solid, and we're going to give it a color of black. Okay, now let's hit save, and now I'm going to hit refresh, and boom, you see how these element in particular, it extends all the way through the entire screen. So that is what we know as a block level element. That's what is display block. Now we have other type of elements here which are considered inline elements, okay, and span is one of them. So let's say as an example, and I'm going to give you an example with an A tag here. I'm going to add a paragraph into my code. Let's do that right now. Okay, so adding a paragraph into my code, let's add just some random text in here. Just go ahead and add this text right there. And what I am going to do is that I am going to add an A tag here, okay? An A tag, and let's say, let's do an href for this tag, and let's just leave it empty. And I'm going to put, this is my site. Okay, so I'm going to hit save, and now we're going to hit refresh. Okay, so this is the A tag. Now, if I add the same style to my A tag that I added to my H1, take a look and see what is going to happen. So to my A tag, I want to add also a border, 1 pixel solid. So let's hit refresh. Boom, you see, now this element in particular, it doesn't have a line break, first of all, and it's in line of these paragraph right here. Okay, so this is what we consider an inline element, and this is the CSS block element. And let's read a little bit here. So block level elements, a block level element, it always starts on a new line, as I said, right? If I add another H1, it's going to start in a new line. And it takes up the full width availability. It stretches out the left and right as far as it can, as you see in the example that I just showed you. And then here are some example of block level elements. We have the div, we have h1s, we have paragraphs, forms, header, footer, sections. Those are block level elements. Now, inline elements are element that does not start on a new line, like an example. This thing doesn't break, right? I mean, it starts from there. And it only takes up as much as the width is necessary. So meaning that only the portion of where we have the content, it doesn't take more, like the H1 that it took all this empty space right there. So these are some example of inline elements. We have the span, we have we have image. So let's take a look at the first value for the display property. So display none is commonly used with JavaScript, but I'm not going to talk about JavaScript just yet, okay? The examples that I will teach you will be only with CSS, just so you know. And it's used to hide and show elements without deleting and recreating them. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples with display none. But the first thing that you need to know here is how to use inline, display inline, and also display block. Okay, so we're going to start with those two before explaining display none. So the first thing we are going to use is the inline value. So we are going to change an inline element to a block element. And also we can do the same thing vice versa, right? So you just need to make sure that you use this whenever you want to show your website in a particular way, right? This is going to be so useful, especially when you're going to be playing around with different type of devices. So here we have an example. If we click here where it says try it yourself, we have a list. And you know that typically lists are order one, and then the other one, and then you have a line break, and then you have the other one. So let me show you an example here. We're going to copy all this list, okay? And we're going to copy the list into our HTML page, and we're simply going to leave the list, let's say, okay, so here's the list, and it doesn't have any type. Let me just do the following. So here it says HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, all three. So what I'm going to do is save this, and let's just leave the wording as it is. I'm going to hit save. So you see now the list is displaying all three LIs with a line break, meaning it's blocking the element, right? So if I go ahead and I add this same style to the lines, right? I'm going to do that, and I'm going to hit refresh. You see how this is blocked because it's taking the entire space, the entire width. Okay, so what I want to do is make all LIs with display inline so that you can see them like this. So let's go ahead and do that. Into our code, we're going to use display inline for LIs. So display, okay, and we're going to say inline. And I'm going to hit save now, and we're going to hit refresh. And boom, you see how now it's changing? Now we transform a block element into an inline element. So that's how you do that. And we can do the opposite. If you want to go ahead and create a block element, and you want to create an inline element and you want to block it, then you will use the value block. As an example with span, right? You can use the block. So here, the example that I am going to use is going to be the A tag. Right now, as you know, we have the A tag here. So as soon as I go ahead and set up the display to block, this is going to create a line break. And the A tag is going to take the entire width screen. So let me show you that right now. So right now we have the A, and I'm going to transform this to a block element. I'm going to save this. Let's hit refresh. Boom, you see? Now it starts from here and it takes the entire width. So we transform an inline element into a block element, okay? And as you can see, this also messed up our entire lines, because here we have A tags attached to our lists. As you can see here on index, we have A tags. So it's applying to all A tags. So what I'm going to do is just remove the A tags here. So this doesn't affect our LIs. So let's do that right now. Okay, so I'm going to hit save now and let's hit refresh. Boom, it's going back to inline. Okay, so that's how you're going to use display inline, and you're going to use display block. Now let's take a look at display none, which is what I was talking about before, that you can use that with JavaScript. So the display block property, the display none property is used to hide an element. So here we have some examples, and this is using JavaScript, so I'm not going to show you that code just yet. But here the display is none, here visibility hidden, and then here we have a reset button, right? So if we remove this, it's going to delete completely the element. And then if I hit here hide, as you can see, the reset is not going all the way to the left because it's just hiding the element, but it's not taking it away from its place. So if I hit reset, let's do this again. If I hit hide, see how this is not moving? Rather than when I click here, then it moves to the left because it removes completely the element. So in order for us to do that, but not with the buttons, as I said before, just to show you the example for display none and visibility hidden, we have those two different properties. So the first one I'm going to show you is display none, and then we're going to take a look at visibility hidden. Now for this, what I am going to do is grab a couple of, let's add here some H2. Okay, we are going to add, let's add 4. Okay, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to give them a class to the second one. And the class is going to be example, example number 1. And then we're going to give an example to the third one. You know what? Let's actually add one more. Let's add one more, and we're going to give here a class to the third one. Okay, and this one is going to be example number 2. Now here we're going to say this is a paragraph. Okay, and then on this one we're actually going to say the same thing in all 4 of them. Well, this is not a paragraph, sorry. This is a header. This is an H2. Okay, so I am going to copy this, and I'm going to paste this into each H2 right here. Okay, there we go. And the last one here. Okay, now I'm going to save this information, making sure it's looking nice. Hit save. Okay, so we have 5 of them here, 5 H2. So the first thing we're going to do is apply to the H2 with a class of example number 1. We're going to call example number 1 here, sample number 1. And we're going to set this play for this to none. Okay. Now, I want you to see how this is going to disappear as soon as I hit refresh. If I hit refresh, boom. You see, well, to show you the example, because now you are thinking that the one disappearing is the last one just because we have the same numbers on each paragraph. I'll change each paragraph here. Let's go ahead and say number 1, 2. Let's say then here, this one is number 3. This one is number 4, and this one is number 5. There we go. So let's hit save, and I am going to remove the display just so you can see all of them right now. Okay, so I'm going to hit refresh, and there we go. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so right now, what is going to happen is that I am going to apply the display none to H2. So the H2 is going to disappear. Okay, so let's say display none. I'm going to hit save, and now let's hit refresh. Boom, you see the H2 is gone. Now we only have 1, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if I apply to the example number 2, a visibility with the visibility property, just hidden, this is not going to remove the space. of the H4. This is going to be left with a blank space, but you're not going to see the H4 anymore. You're not going to see this text any longer, okay? So I'm going to save this, and let's go ahead and let's hit refresh. Boom, you see? So the difference between visibility hidden and display none, as you can see, is that display none property will remove the space where the actual element was located, and it's going to rearrange the other elements, pretending like that wasn't there, right? Now, the visibility hidden one, it will only hide the element, but the element space will still be retained there. It's not going anywhere, as you can see in this example. So I hope this makes sense to you. If it doesn't, make sure to leave your questions in the comment section below, and I will reply as soon as I can. Now, as far as display, you have more examples here when it comes to the display visibility, the display and also the visibility properties. You can go ahead and you can click here at W3 Schools in more things that you can learn with these two, but I believe that I explained here the most important thing that you should know by now. So I hope that this tutorial was useful for you. Okay, so that was it for this video today, everyone. If you liked the video, remember to give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And remember that you can always ask Lixi. Bye, everyone, and see you again in the next episode.